Hello, my name is Sashank. Welcome to this session that discusses the introduction of a new feature that allows for the selection of test datasets while adding flows in a flow set. This feature is available in 24C of Oracle Utilities Cloud Services. In this session, we'll talk about this new feature and how it can impact your business. I will give you an overview of the new Test Dataset Selector feature, followed by more details to help you use it and understand the benefits for your business. We'll then walk through the demonstration. A flow set allows for grouping together and running of multiple test flows together in sequence. The flows in a flow set are loosely coupled and do not have a direct dependency on each other. Now, a test flow in UTA can be defined to have multiple test data sets that distinguish the business process verifications that are done during multiple runs of the test flow. This new feature allows you to add a flow to a flow set by selecting one or more of these test data sets. So when you run the flow set, the test flow would be run with all the selected test data sets in the specified sequence. In this release, we provided an improved user interface for adding a flow to a flow set. The advanced user interface displays all the available test data sets for a flow when adding a flow to a flow set, which makes it easier for you to quickly select the required test datasets by just dragging and dropping them on the user interface. You can do this for multiple flows through the same window, which further enhances the user views. Updating the flow test datasets in a flow set has also been made easier owing to this new user interface, as it provides a consolidated view of the test datasets that have been selected for a flow. Now let's take a look at the Test Data Set Selector in Flow Sets feature. I'm currently on the Manage Flowset page in Oracle Utilities Testing Accelerator Workbench. I've just created a flowset called Demo Flowset, and let's try and add some flows to this flowset. In order to do that, we need to click on Add Flows button over here, which brings us the list of available flows. So I'm going to try and search for some flows that are available in this instance. And let's try and add these three flows to the flow set. First one is to create person or business and account. The second one creates premise and service point. And the third one does a start device, asset in store status. In order to add these flows to the flow set, we need to click on Add to Flow Set button over here, which brings us to this new user interface, which allows us to select the test data sets that correspond to each flow in this flow set. Among the three flows that I've selected, the first one is create person, business, and account. So I'm going to try and add a couple of test data sets that are available for this flow. So this flow already has all of these test data sets defined. So when I'm adding this flow to the flow set, I want to bring along these test data sets. First one is business standalone. And let's say I want to add one more test data set, which is person standalone. So what this does is when I run the flow set and when this flow is run, it first runs with the business standalone test data set. And the second run of the same flow happens with person standalone test data set. Now, similarly, I can do this for the rest of the flows. So let's say I want to add electric residential and electric commercial as test data sets for create premise and service point. And for the third flow that I've selected, I just want to add all the available test data sets. So when the flow set is run, each of these flows would be run with the selected test data sets. And the create smart device asset in-store status flow would be run with all of these selected test data sets. Now that I've selected the test data sets for each flow, I can click on add. So the flows get added to the flow set with the selected test data sets. We can manage the selected test data sets for each flow by just clicking on this edit button. We just need to come into this manage flow set screen, and we can click on this edit button against the corresponding flow to manage the test data sets for each of these. Since we've added these flows to the flow set with the selected test data sets, we can save this flow set by clicking on save. So when the flow set is run, it first runs the create person or business and account flow with these selected test data sets, one iteration for each of the selected test data set, and then it would start running the create premise and service point followed by create smart device asset in store status. So each of these flows would be run with the selected test datasets. For additional information about this feature and its functionality, you can refer to the Utilities Testing Accelerator User's Guide documentation available on Oracle Help Center at docs.oracle.com. This concludes the presentation. Thank you for watching.